feel very Miami. Hey, it says we're live. I feel very Miami Vice today. Don Johnson.
Why is that?
Because I'm wearing a white jacket that looks like it's from the 80s, but it's not.
Oh, okay.
Hi, everyone. Just a little levity as we get settled here on YouTube. We are doing this YouTube live to be in circle again. I'm Laura Chandler, the executive director of the Foundation of the Sacred Stream, and I'm here with Isa Gucciardi, the founding director of the Sacred Stream. And we are doing these circles to be in community together, to kind of share and support one another as we go through what I think is a really difficult time in the world. So we're focusing our healing intentions today on Ukraine and everywhere in the world that has conflict. And we are glad you're here. So you can let us know that you're here and where you are watching from by saying hello in the chat. And there is Vimala, Namaste, Isa and Laura, warmest greetings from Vietnam, peace and love.
Oh, that's so nice, Vimala.
Yeah.
Nice that you're here. Okay, so what I'd like to do is again, we're going to be focusing on offering healing wishes and healing intentions to everyone who is caught in places of conflict. And I'd like to bring in some words from the Haudenosaunee people. And this is from a book of Thanksgiving by the Tracking Project. And in the front of the project book, it says, "You are invited and encouraged to share these words that concentrate our attention and help us rediscover balance, respect, and oneness with nature." So I'm going to be adapting some of the words and phrases from this book to help us create a circle of power so that we can offer, through our intentionality, focus that power into helping people who are caught in these conflict zones. I'm thinking of Yemen, I'm thinking of Tigray, I'm thinking of Ukraine, Myanmar. I'm thinking of so many places that, that are barely on the map, that are caught in conflict. And I think that, I also wanted to talk a little bit about, how do we find ourselves in conflict, right? I mean, I know we've talked about this a lot. And of course, my book, Coming to Peace, is all about how we find our way out of conflict. And by the way, that book, Coming to Peace, is based on many of the principles of the Haudenosaunee people, the Iroquois Federation, the Iroquois League, which was established to quell the effect of the blood feuds that had been happening among the peoples on the eastern seaboard of the United States in the 1300s, 1200s, 1400s. And that league was established to create ties, to create a way to speak about issues and to focus positive intention. And I think that, as I've been watching sort of the consequences of all of this hatred that has been being expressed, in these different zones of conflict, I think that one of the things that's really, really clear is how consequences of actions are so clear, and how external actions emerge from internal states. And I think, I was speaking with a friend of mine who was just absolutely distressed that she could not go to the border and, help people there in the soup kitchens, or help people there with the EMTs, or, that, she was absolutely beside herself that she was unable to do this kind of thing. And I said to her, I said, but there is so much that we can do, where we focus our positive intentionality so that there's a kind of sort of like a storehouse of positive thought and positive intention for people to draw upon. Because what has happened is the stores of positive thought and positive intention have clearly been drained in these places where there's so much conflict. And the external conflict is simply a reflection of the internal space of aversion and dislike, judgment, jealousy, greed. These states of mind had to have been there before these conflicts emerged. And as we are focusing our attention in these healing circles, our hope is to be able to offer this positive intention as a different place for people to draw their thoughts from, and to, again, kind of create a storehouse of positive intention as our minds are united together and as we are focusing all together. And in this book, there's this beautiful phrase that is repeated again and again in these prayers, where they're calling the different elements of nature, and that is, and so now we bring our minds together as one. And that's what I'd like to do with this circle. And I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say before we start the circle.
Well, no, I'm just happy to be here, and I just wanted to welcome Hello Yoda and Lucy La Montaña to the circle, and just invite anyone to just share with us where you're tuning in from, and any intentions that you have for this healing circle.
Yeah, we'll be saying our intentions into the circle. So let's go ahead and begin the circle. So just getting settled and focusing inward, and just recognizing that we have gathered here today to be able to bring more life in balance and harmony with each other and with all living things. And so we call upon each other here at this circle to bring our minds together as one in this intention. And we also are thankful to the earth, and we call the power of the earth to this circle to support our enterprise in bringing positive intention and healing, as she supports our feet as we walk upon her. And she gives us joy and helps us continue to care for one another. And we call upon the waters of the world that quench our thirst and provide us with strength. We call upon these powers here to join us with one mind as we send healing and positive intention to everyone, everywhere caught in conflict. And we also turn our attention to all the plants that grow, that sustain life in many forms, the food plants, the medicinal herbs, and we ask them to support this enterprise of focusing positive intention into all the places where there is some kind of conflict, where people are afraid, hungry, and at odds with the world. And we gather our minds together to call all the spirits of all the animals to support us as we bring our minds together to focus positive intention. We call the spirits of the trees, the spirits of the birds, the spirits of the four winds that help bring change, and ask them to bring change to these situations for the better. And we call upon the sun and the power of the sun to join with us now as we focus these positive healing wishes. And we call upon the stars who light the darkness and ask them to bring their light into the darkness of these conflicts. And we also call upon all of the enlightened teachers, all of the guides, all of your mentors, asking all of your guides, your mentors, and your teachers to join us here in this circle as we focus our positive intention toward those who are caught in conflict, and just allowing yourself to go ahead and say the names of the people or the groups of people or any of the beings that you would like to send the power of this circle to. You can write them in the chat. We can read them out. I'd like to send the power of this circle to all the animals that are caught in these conflict zones, who don't understand what is happening and who are in fear. To all the people who are in hiding. To all the people who are cold. And hungry.
To all the children, to everyone who's displaced, and all those worried about and concerned for family members, all the soldiers on both sides of any conflict. I can't read the chat. May all beings be in light. Danielle. Hello, Yoda says all sentient beings in all worlds and times. And just sending this out to all beings who are in suffering, in pain, or ill, or confused.
And we offer these intentions and these prayers of healing without any attachment, and with the best and highest good of all of those that might receive the power of this circle. And just focusing back in to the room whenever you're ready.
And just saying hi to Carolyn Lee, who's here. Good to see you here, Carolyn, and Kat Marlowe. Great to see you, and Danielle.
So I thought what we would do is spend a little bit of time just talking a little bit more about mind training, because it's mind training that helps us patrol our internal worlds, if you will, that helps us keep our internal space clear of judgment. And I think that judgment is really the place where a lot of bad things start. You know, I think, and I think we don't realize when we're saying, "Oh, I like this one thing," or "I don't like that one thing." I don't think that we realize that we are really at one end of the spectrum of creating conflict. Because with judgment, you are creating a separation. So even if you are saying, I like something, you're still separating that out from what you don't like, right? And I think that we're so used to making value judgments, I think in part because it's a way that we kind of know who we are, or we know, if we know what we like, that helps us define ourselves. And if we know what we don't like, that also defines ourselves. And I understand the need to kind of know who you are, of course, to know who I am, to know who we are. You know, I understand that need, but I think we get a little bit lazy when we use judgment to create those definitions. And we really don't realize the way in which we are creating the separation that leads to conflict. And I think if we could try to, you know, think about His Holiness the Dalai Lama's words, where he says, you know, he always exhorts everyone to remember that other people want to be happy just like you. And different people have different ways of being happy. And, you know, to have the space and patience and tolerance to understand that other people may have different things that help them feel whole or integrated, and to wish that for them, to have that be part of our internal dialogue rather than a dialogue of judgment or separation. And I keep thinking, you know, as we're all so distressed hearing all of the events that are happening in, you know, I was listening about Tigray this afternoon and just thinking of all of the terrible things that are happening to the people there. And, you know, the people in Yemen that have been suffering for so long. And then, you know, of course, these reports out of Ukraine, which are just very hard to receive. And just thinking about what it would be like if a tank pulled up in front of my house and things went downhill from there, right? And I think that, you know, none of this could be happening if there hadn't been some kind of separation created, right? If there hadn't been some kind of desire that was on the part of one party that was more important than the desire for the other party, you know. And these, and you know, when we say, you know, like, you know, feel terrible that I can't go and, you know, be cooking soup or baking bread for these people, we can, with our own practice, change things. And we can change ourselves. And in changing ourselves, again, we create this field from which positive intention can be drawn and positive intention can be supported. Yeah. You have any thoughts on these ideas?
I do. And you know, it's a field that many people are participating in. So even though we're a small group here right now, there are many groups of different sizes that have the same thoughts and the same wishes to be able to do something. And it really does accumulate. You know, it really does build. I think the energy builds. And you know, when you're talking about mind training and saying, you know, it's a habit, right? Like it's a habit of judging is a habit, and we can shift that. We can change that habit and hold and away from the negative thought and try to focus towards more positivity. And I think one other thing I wanted to say is that we're so dominated by sound bites, by news cycles, and that's a habit, and we have to really change our habits. So if Ukraine isn't in the news, as so many conflicts around the world are not in the news, it doesn't mean that there isn't a need for our attention on those things. And so we can hold our attention there, not hold our attention so that we're depressed and feeling hopeless, but holding our intention, knowing that there's a larger field out there, a larger capacity in people like us who have the same intention, and that intention does affect change. It does have an effect. So those are some thoughts.
I know this phrase that's repeated throughout the different prayers in this book of with one mind, in this particular part, with one mind we greet and thank life, right? And if we think about uniting our minds with one another and uniting the power of this circle with all of the circles of positive intention, with all of the individual efforts that are being focused in all the different ways that people focus positive intention, we can begin to kind of create an alternative current to the current of disorganization and dissolution that's happening in all of these places where conflict is being created and generated. So I think we can take heart and take hope and know that that even a small act of kindness or a small thought of kindness directed into a situation can help. I'm reminded of the story. It's a Buddhist parable where Mother Bird lost her babies in a fire, in a forest fire, but she spent all the rest of her life energy going and trying to get a little bit of water from the stream and bring it back and drop it over the fire until she was exhausted and fell into the fire herself. You can look at that story in a couple of different ways. You can look at it, oh my goodness, there's just no hope. She did all that effort and nothing, and she didn't stop the fire. But the thing is, she did all that effort. Mm-hmm. And in terms of, from a Buddhist point of view, in terms of an evolutionary point of view of one's spirit, to die, with the idea of trying to create a positive change, to die with the selflessness of trying to help others, even when everything that you have has been lost, is a very different way to die, a very different evolutionary thrust than, being angry, shaking your fist at all of the anger,
resigned,
or being resigned, falling into mm-hmm. despair. One of the major perfections in Buddhism is effort, mm-hmm. is vigorous effort, and it's something that it's one of the paramitas. It's one of the perfections that is indicative of a more enlightened mind. And I think that we have to do what we can to invigorate ourselves and to bring forward this effort. Mm-hmm. And we're a small group, but we can unite with other groups and offer everything that we can toward our own positivity, maintaining our own positivity, so that other people can draw upon it.
And I just like to say to that parable, because you can take a negative bent there, but I think it also is pointing to this idea of practice, this idea of engaging. And, one of the things that Dalai Lama says is never give up. Even if you feel hopeless, it's like, don't give in to that hopelessness. Try, keep trying. And there's goodness in that. There's positivity in that. There's spiritual growth in that. It's not wear yourself out trying to help others until you die. That is not the point of that parable by any stretch of the imagination. But it is to keep trying so that you yourself don't give up and get resigned and fall into futility.
It's the evolutionary thrust of your own mind stream there.
Yeah.
That's the focus of that story.
And sometimes she does put out the fire, so I'm just saying. All right.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to, thank everyone for being here, and we will see if we will do more healing circles, if it's something that the community feels might be helpful. And certainly in our own practices, we will be all, I'm sure, sending prayers and intentions of goodwill and positivity toward everyone who can benefit from it.
Yeah. And thank you all for being here live with us. And we'll be back. Take good care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, a lot of thank yous coming in. Thank you, guys.